I get on the train. I get on at Frankston. I'm going to Armadale. At Hyatt Station, a man wielding 2 knives, 2 daggers, one in each hand, gets on the train. He's got a speaker. He's playing music. He's wearing a fucking steampunk top hat for some reason. He starts ranting and raving about how powerful he feels with his 2 knives. He starts like fucking sharpening them against each other, making this noise really fucking scary, right? And I clock him immediately because at this point in being in Victoria on the public transport system, I'm just on high alert all the time. I clock the guy immediately, but because he's playing music and he's a lunatic, other people are doing the thing where I'm going to ignore it. I won't even look. So no one else notices that this guy has 2 knives, right? I see it straight away as soon as he gets on. So first thing I do is I go, fuck, am I going to have to try and, am I going to see this guy start stabbing people? So I'm watching this guy. He then goes to sit down. I go, fuck, all right. I stand up immediately, and because he starts brandishing his knives, he's like waving them all around, just muttering to himself about how cool he feels with his knives, right? And other people don't see what's going on. So I stand up immediately and I just leave the carriage to go and press the emergency button. He's like at the halfway point of the carriage. And I walk away from him to go into the next carriage immediately to press the emergency button. As I'm going out, I'm very discreetly tapping every single person that I fucking pass, just going, come with me, right? I get to the door. I've got like 7 people that are coming through with me. Actually, that's not true. 2 other dudes saw him and immediately just ran off to the next carriage, right? But I'm the only person who's pulling other people off and intending to press the emergency button. Hey, man, if you leave a carriage because some guy gets on with a knife, when you get into the new carriage, press the emergency button, please. This fucking save myself, every man for themselves type bullshit has got to end. Anyway, whatever. That's neither here nor there. I get to the door to get into the next carriage, and all the women, I put them ahead of me, push them into the carriage. There's one girl who's like in her own world, headphones on, and she's just looking at her phone. And I'm standing over her, and she's like wearing barely anything, very short skirt, bare arms, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta touch her. Like I'm like waving at her, and she's not seeing me, and I go, excuse me, and I'm trying to be really discreet because I don't want to set off the fucking maniac that's gotten on the train. Because at this point, he hasn't noticed that he's cleared half the carriage, or I've cleared half the carriage, right? So then I go, oh, okay, fuck. And so then I go, what do they do with, at the airport when they frisk you? I went with back of the hand. So I back of the hand the girl on the knee, and then she jumps out of her skin because obviously I look like a fucking maniac just walking up to some girl, touching her. And then I go, hi, you need to leave. You're in danger. Not from me. Not from me. Anyway, I point at the dude. She goes, oh, fuck. Gets off the train. And then I get into the next carriage, and I don't know what to do. Well, I knew that I had to press the button, but I'm like, oh, this is going to, because people in the other carriage, they don't know what's going on. So I'm like, oh, this is going to scare the shit out of everyone. So I'm like, do I go, excuse me, I'm going to press the emergency button. There's a man with a knife, but he's not stabbing yet. Don't freak out. I don't know. I just press the button. And that's going to be scary, like you're on a carriage and somebody else presses the button on purpose. Actually, you know what's funny? The last time I took the train, I did press the emergency button, but it was a complete accident. I was just leaning against the wall, and then all of a sudden I hear the conductor going, what's the emergency? I'm like, oh, fuck, sorry, accident. So this time I go and I press it, and then the whole carriage goes to look at me like, what's going on? And then the conductor's like, hello? And I go, hi, there's a man with a knife in the carriage next to me. And then everyone goes, what's going on? Like freaks the fuck out of everybody. Because, that sounds like, hi, there's a guy stabbing. You know what I mean? That sounds like terrorist attack. I don't know if whatever. I'm just like, I just need the conductor to stop the fucking train so we can get police on. And as people are freaking out, going, oh my God, what's happening? And I'm just trying to talk to the conductor. And then he goes, what carriage is it on? What number? And I'm like, fuck, I don't know. What number are we on? Can't you tell by what button I've pressed? And then I'm like, I'm so stupid, dude. I literally am trying to figure out what carriage am I on. And I literally say, it's the carriage to the right of me, but I'm looking at the button and they're like, hey, idiot, say behind. The carriage is going forward. The train's going forward. You say behind, whatever. Idiot moment from me. But I was souped up on adrenaline because this guy's got on the fucking train and I'm trying to pull people off, right? And I press this button. And then, thank God, this other guy walks up and he goes, what's going on? And then he pulls out a badge. He goes, I'm a police officer. Pulls out up a badge. And fuck, it was cool. I bet he felt so cool doing that. Yeah, I bet you don't. I mean, thank God you don't have to do that often. But if you're a cop and you have that badge with you and you're plain clothes or you're off duty, fuck, that must feel so cool. It made me want a badge, you know? He's wearing a suit. He's going to work. He's about to start his shift. He's going, guess I'm starting my shift early. Constable legend here. That was very cool. I like that a lot. So he flashes his badge. I go, oh, thank God. And I go, there's a guy. He's got knives on the train. He's on drugs, obviously. He's not violent right now, but he's fucking manic, clearly. And he's really scaring everybody. And he feels really cool with his daggers. And that's terrifying. So the cop goes, okay, I'll call the police, right? And he calls the police and he's a cop. So he starts saying a bunch of code words. Like, we got a fucking 3152 on this train, blah, blah. So I'm like, oh, thank God that's handled. He's sorting out calling the police. Then I look into the carriage and I see that there's like some woman, the only other person that didn't come off with me, she's like frozen. So I'm like, fuck. And she's the guy with the knives is facing away from all of this. She's facing me. And she's frozen. She's got all these bags. I'm like, fuck. I go back into the carriage. I point at her. I go, fucking girl. I get her off the train. She grabs all her bags because she was just fear response, frozen, right? She gets off. At this point, the train's still moving. I assume the conductor's coordinating with police on where to fucking stop. It was so scary. And then there's no fucking, like, police with weapons. Obviously, thank God there was an off-duty police officer, but, you know, he's just a guy in a suit, right? So he's on the phone to the cops. While he's doing that, because he doesn't want to go in the carriage because he might freak out the guy with the knives, so he's, like, staying in this carriage. I go in to the next carriage with the knife-wielding maniac to sit by the door, separating him from all the fucking women and children that I've just pulled out. And then eventually the cop gets off the phone. He comes, we sit down together. And then there's just this moment where we're just looking at each other being like, oh, fuck. Shit might get real. Like both of us are going, if shit gets real, do you got that dog in you? You know? So I just went, my name's Lewis. And then we just kind of sat and the guy is like, fuck, like it was really scary. Waving around his knives, sharpening them, fucking standing up, sitting down. I just fuck, you know, I never normally leave the house with my knives, but I just saw them and I felt really fucking, like it felt really powerful and cool, like just doing that. Raving, like full manic. And me and this cop are sitting opposite each other by the door. So like maybe, I don't know, fuck. It'd be like 4 meters away from him. 4 or 5 meters away, maybe not even that. So like fucking close, very scary. And we just sit like that and we just got to wait and pretend that we're not like looking at him, just ready to spring into action. It was fucking scary. And dude, some people have no survival instinct at all, right? There's the people on the other side of him. Eventually the train does stop and it stops at a station. But of course there are no PSOs on the station anymore because our wonderful premier in Victoria moved PSOs. For international listeners, or I don't even know if you have them in other states, but PSOs are protective service officers or something like that. I don't know. They're basically like a step up from security guards, a step down from cops. They're like police for the train station. They have weapons. They look like police officers, but they're not police. They're just for police stations, but they're employed by the government. Anyway, they were a great fucking addition to train stations, right? They're not ticket inspectors. They're not supposed to be anyway. They're just there to keep people safe and be a police presence without taking resources away from actual police. So it's a great idea. But because violence in Victoria has been spiking recently, especially at shopping centres, but also at train stations, the Premier decided to move PSOs away from train stations and deploy them at shopping centres for some fucking reason, despite the fact that shopping centres are private businesses, right? So they should be employing their own security. And if the government wants to help subsidize that, then sure, why not? But, you know, the consequences of people not using public transport because it's too dangerous far outweigh people deciding to shop online instead. Great, stupid, dumb fucking move. But anyway, I digress. We'll get into that later. Right? So we're stuck at this train station for, I think he got on the train, and from when he got on the train to by the time he finally got taken off by police, I think it was 40 minutes. So just 40 minutes in a fucking train carriage with a maniac, knowing that like me and this off-duty cop are the only thing separating him from just women. It was so scary. But luckily, there was a drunken idiot who had no idea the danger that he was in. This guy is with a woman. She sees the dude with two daggers. Well, that almost got a little bit dangerous. 2 daggers. She gets off and goes to the carriage. She's one of the women I pulled off, right? He is really drunk. He sits by himself for a bit and then goes up to the guy and sits opposite the dude with the knives for like 10 minutes while the guy with the knives is literally waving them in the dude's face. And the guy who's really drunk is just going, yeah, you fucking barely coherent, has no idea the danger that he's in. And then after about 10 minutes, he gets up and stumbles off. And I was like, damn, we just lost our early warning system. You know, if the drugs take a bad turn and that guy starts getting a bit stabby, we just lost our canary in the coal mine. Fuck, now I'm the canary, you know? So it was about 20 minutes where it was like just the dude with the knives and me and the undercover and the off-duty police officer. It was fucking scary. And then eventually, right, police do turn up. Now, normally, if PSOs were at train stations, that would have been, firstly, he probably would have been stopped before he even got on the fucking train, right? So that would have been the thing. But let's say he managed to get through the PSOs, because that wouldn't even be their fault. Maybe he didn't pull them out until he got on the train, right? But let's say he got on the train. We would have been able to stop at the next station. There would have been about 5 minutes instead of 40 minutes of raving lunatic with 2 daggers on the train. So how's this, right? The police officer, the off-duty cop, he goes, mate, just for your safety, when the cops get here, I'm going to get you to go in the other carriage. Can you do that for me? I said, yeah. And he goes, but I appreciate you being here. Because he was like, we were both glad that the other one was there. And thank God nothing kicked off, right? Cops arrive and I do what the police officer says. I get up straight away and I just get off the next carriage. They walk over, they yell at the guy, they get him to drop his knives and kick them to the other side of the carriage. And then they pick up his knives and they lead him off, right? And then the doors close and the train goes away. And I think, oh man, do they want me to give a statement? And I think, oh, well, it's too late. I want to get my hair cut, right? Everyone, as soon as this guy gets off, is like, some people are crying, other people are freaked out. I have this huge fucking adrenaline dump. I gotta like squat down and breathe. And then I'm fucking comforting this girl. She's comforting me. Everyone's freaked out, right? And then I get my hair cut and I do this video about it because I'm fucking angry. Because if PSOs were at the station, this never would have happened. Or if it did happen, it would have only been happening for 5 minutes. Essentially, what happened was if that guy started stabbing, it would have been 40 minutes of stabbing. You know? And that's the thing. He was clearly on drugs. He was fucking manic. So it was a horrific situation. So I make this video, right, ranting about it. It's on my Instagram and everywhere else. It then blows up, and I say that this is Jacinta Allen's fault, right? Because she's the leader of the Victorian state, and she's the one who moved PSOs off, who has been in charge for this fucking crime wave and the violent crime spiking at public transport areas and all this kind of stuff, right? And also, as we know, if you've been listening to this podcast, this is not the first time where I've had to intervene or share a carriage with a nutter or divert an insane person's attention away from a woman. Like, this happens. I don't know if I've got some kind of crackhead magnet on me, but it seems like whenever I'm on the train, so is a crackhead who is fucking on meth and harassing women. But this time it happened to be 2 knives. So I do this video and I just tell the whole story that I've told you but shorter and angrier, right? Because I'm still, even after my haircut, I'm still fucking hopped up on adrenaline, basically, because it was, it was fucking scary. And all the comments, like it blows up, and all these people start sharing these similar stories of nutters on trains, violence in the city, all this kind of stuff. But then all these other comments start going, yeah, I bet they'll let him out on bail. They'll let him out on bail. Oh yeah, he'll be out on bail next week, right? And I read that and I go, yeah, I bet he fucking will, because that's another thing in Victoria. People get arrested and they get bail immediately. People are on bail that shouldn't be. Fucking accused murderers and people who are like repeat violent offenders just get on bail and then do it again, right? This journalist then reaches out to me, and this is the development. A journalist then reaches out to me from news.com.au, right? And he goes, hey man, I just want to ask you a few questions, right? He's, fact-checking me, making sure that I'm not lying. And then I just send him like, here are texts of me like texting a loved one. Like that's what it was. That's what it was. Like I fucking, this happens. I pull all the women off. I hit the emergency button. And then I am sitting opposite this cop and I go, oh, if this guy starts stabbing, I could die. So I text loved ones and I go, just so you know, this is happening. I'm okay now, but I love you. Right? So I sent him screenshots of that. I'm like, here's the timestamps. He got on at this station. He got off at that station. He was arrested at Hyatt. So you can talk to the police and legit confirm that the story is true. He goes and talks to the police and they tell him they didn't even fucking arrest him. They didn't even arrest the guy. So a drug-addled lunatic. And I'm sorry this isn't very funny. I'm very pissed off about this, actually. A guy gets on the train on drugs, wielding 2 knives, sharpening them, ranting and raving, scaring everybody, evacuates an entire carriage, makes everybody 30 minutes late to whatever they're doing, work, a day off, an appointment. I almost missed my haircut, which makes me the real victim of this scenario because my hair was looking fucking crazy, dude. You would have thought that I had the knives. But now it's looking great. Right? And the cops just let him go. They don't even arrest him. He doesn't even get the opportunity to be let out on bail. What do you have to do to get fucking arrested? Right? This is this shit of like, and that just makes me go, okay, well, crime is exploding on the public transport system. But if cops aren't arresting people who are dual wielding knives, like a fucking video game character, on drugs, well, obviously the violent crime and the crime and is actually way higher than the stats report. And that reflects my anecdotal experience. It's like you see, when you're on the train, you see fucking signs everywhere. Like, if you carry a knife, you're getting arrested. It's this much of a fine. It's illegal to carry. And then someone fucking wields knives and they just pull them off and they get, no, you shouldn't do that. And they let the fucking guy who's high on meth go. And so what do you have to do to get arrested? Did he have to murder a woman? Is that what it had to take? Did I have to get stabbed for him to be fucking taken off the street? And I read this news article, and what the police told the reporter was, oh yeah, there was a guy on the train. He didn't make any threats, and he was cleaning his knives. Now, I don't know who the fuck they asked to find out all that information, because the cops pulled the guy off the station, off the train, and then the train left. So I can only assume that they looked at the guy who was wielding 2 knives on a train and asked him what happened. And he was like, oh, I was just cleaning them and being nice to everyone. Fucking bullshit. That's not what happened. I don't know. I'm really fucking upset about this. Because this shit should not be happening in Australia. And before I get all of the comments being like, oh, what does he look like? What race was he? White guy. 40 years old. Quintessential Aussie white meth head. The dude was wearing a singlet and a steampunk red top hat. Yes, literally. And he wasn't cleaning the knives. He was fucking sharpening them really loudly, audibly, smashing them against each other, waving them around, talking about how strong and powerful he felt, holding them, waving them in the face of another passenger, and scaring the shit out of everybody. So if that doesn't get you arrested, he didn't even get a fine. Can you fucking believe it? Didn't even get a fine. So, I mean, what does it take to get arrested in Victoria? What do you have to do? I don't know. It just makes me fucking angry. So I did this video and I addressed it at Jacinta Allen, right? Who's the leader of Victoria, the Victorian state, the successor of Dan Andrews. And I got all these comments calling me a grifter because I experienced knife crime on public transport and addressed my concerns to the leader of the state and blamed her because it's a direct result of moving PSOs from stations to shopping centers. That was a decision she made. And I say, hey, this decision that you have made has had negative consequences on my life. And I'm a voter and I live here and I pay tax and I complain. And then I get all these comments calling me a right-wing grifter. I'm sorry, but who the fuck else am I supposed to complain to? And you know what's hilarious about this? The fucking opposition leader messaged me and she goes, hey, I want to talk to you. I want to talk about this. I want to learn about this. I want to see if I can come with some solutions. And now I'm going to call it and we're going to have a chat. Jacinta Allen has ignored it. I think it's done over 500,000 views, pretty much all in Victoria. Premier of the state fucking ignored it. Opposition leaders reaching out. I mean, I've never voted for a Liberal in my life, but this violence on public transport and in the city of Melbourne, it's turning me into a single issue voter. You know? Like at this point, whoever's going to fucking get these insane people off the street is going to get it. And yes, I'm a firm believer in preventative care and mental health intervention and drug clinics and helping people who are in distress, psychological distress, mental health, drug addict, whatever it is, homelessness, all of that. I'm very in favor of that. But here's the thing. Those are early intervention programs. At some point, when some dude is 40 years old, off his head on drugs and taking knives onto the train, I'm sorry, whatever he's been through is terrible. That's awful. I'm sure he's a victim of one or many things. Also, he's on my train with 2 knives. I don't give a fuck. Get him off the street. Put him in jail. You know, at what point is being compassionate to these fucking lunatics with knives, at what point does that compassion become cruelty to everybody else? Essentially, what happened is this guy took a knife on a train and I got punished. I experienced a consequence. Every single person who didn't have a knife experienced a consequence. And he got let off with nothing. He was rewarded. So I don't like, yeah. I gotta stop talking about this because it makes me so fucking angry. Because I'm seeing it more and more. I'm seeing it all the time. Every time I get on a train. And you know who really fucking pays the price of all of this stuff? It is women. Right? Because all those chicks on the train, scared, crying, frozen, fear, and they can't do anything because they're physically weaker. All of this shit, it falls on the heads of women. And when all these psychologically distressed people that are in desperate need of help 10 years ago, before they've reached this feral point, you know, I guarantee you they're not very nice to the women in their lives. And it makes me think of that kid who was stabbed to death at Seaford Station at 10 p.m. a couple years ago. The day before that, at the exact same time, I was at that station. That's me. I got killed that night. It makes me think of the 22-year-old kid that intervened, stopping a teenager getting robbed. And he got stabbed in the chest and died. That's me. That's you. You know? I would have done something. And I guess I would have died. You know? Like the only difference between my story and this kid's story is I got lucky. You know, this guy who took knives on the train was at that point in time having a good time with his drugs. You know, but stuff with like with meth, ice, whatever the fuck he was on, they turn. They're good and then they're bad. You know, if I didn't call the cops when I did, or sorry, if I didn't press the button and that other guy was there, he called the cops. If that didn't happen, what was going to happen? Was he going to ride all the way into the city with his two knives and get off at Flinders Street with two knives where there's the rapid response unit that doesn't fuck around? Did he die in that alternate reality where I wasn't on that carriage when he got on? If I wasn't on that carriage when he got on, did he kill a different passenger because no one noticed? Because I didn't point it out? It's just like this thing with, we got to be compassionate to these people. Yes, we should. And here's how we should be compassionate to people like that. We should take them off the street and treat them with love and care and respect for the rest of their fucking life away from society, because they've blown it. Once you're 40, taking knives on the train and you're off your head on ice, I'm sorry, it's over. Live over there within a fucking facility. Anyway, that's it. I got to stop talking about it because it's making me very angry.